Good evening, everybody. Another edition of On the Road Again with Shaggy. This time trying out a slightly different setting on the recording, so it's either going to completely blow out my recording volume or it's actually going to be good. Not sure which one yet. I guess only time will tell. I've also bought a few other microphones to try out, see how that works. This is one of those things where I continually try to make this segment better and better for you guys, constantly failing, it seems. You know, I can never seem to get it just right. So, you know, I do my best, and that's all that can really be asked for. So I wanted to try and drop another episode because I do have an event going on in a few days. But before I get to that, let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. So I have, I brought you guys kind of up to speed on what's been going on with the family reconnection on the last one. Since then, it's taken a little bit of a turn, and I just want to kind of give you guys another update because hopefully it's relatable and hopefully it's interesting to you guys to hear what's going on that front. I mean, it's not, I don't know, it's cathartic for me at least to get it out there. So here's what's happening. So, Galena and Grandpa are not doing very well. She's had cancer for a while, it seems, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. It's getting worse. In fact, she's not doing too well health-wise, and he is following right in line and not taking care of himself, etc. Now, my aunt who moved down there, both to be closer to them and to be closer to resources for my cousin, is not dealing with this very well. Okay? And it's nothing against her. It's just some people who haven't been through it, you know, maybe as much as I have, which I don't know if that's a good thing that I've been through it this much, but, you know, they may not know how to deal with it or what to expect or how to handle it. So this is a little bit of a primer for you guys that maybe you've been lucky enough where you haven't had to deal with elderly folks that are getting on in their years. So here's the situation. You've got elderly people who still have, for the most part, their wits about them, okay? So they're still making decisions, even if they're not the decisions that you necessarily agree with. They're still making decisions on their own. And, you know, whether it's decisions not to seek a treatment, whether it's decisions not to take medication or take advantage of different things like oxygen, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, the different things, you know, they don't want to go through chemo or whatever. You know, one thing you have to understand is that is their right to not go through those things. All right. They have earned that right living as long as they have. Okay. You are not allowed to take that right away from them. What you can do to show your concern and to be helpful and to make sure that you are doing what you can is you need to be available. Okay, you need to make yourself available. You need to ask them what they need. Okay, help in the ways that they are willing to accept. So whether that's going to the store for them or writing out bills for them or, you know, answering the door for them, just sitting and talking to them, whatever it is, that's what you need to be available to do. What you don't need to do is badger them or berate them or argue with them, because that's not going to accomplish anything. If anything, what it's going to accomplish is pushing you further away from them, and during what is probably going to be the end of their life, okay, that is not what you want. That's not the memory you want to have, is arguing with somebody that you care about. Okay? That's just not the way you want to end things with someone. Trust me, I know. Okay, you want to end things on a positive note, remembering the person the way that you knew them all along. Okay? I'm not going to say that there isn't going to be some small thought in the back of your head of, well, if I just made them take those pills, or if I just made them get that treatment, or if I just made them go to the hospital, they would still be here. It may be true, okay? But it doesn't mean that it's right, okay? They have, as long as they are capable of making decisions for themselves, which in a lot of cases I've seen, they fully are, all right? It is not your right to decide what is best for them, all right? A lot of times these people are old and they're not afraid of death like the young folks are. A lot of times why we want to hold people on, why we want them to stick around, is based out of fear or selfishness. It's based out of one of those two things. All right? Either it's our own fear of death, or it's our selfishness to want to keep them around for ourselves. Okay? If you are completely honest with yourself, you will realize that that is true. I'm not saying it's easy to accept. It's just true. All right? I have family members that would put people on life support in a vegetative state just so that they could say that they were still around. All right? What good does that do? Where's the quality of life for the person that they are keeping around just for the sake of saying they're still around? It doesn't do anything. All right? You have to man up, woman up, put on your big girl britches, whatever you want to call it. All right. You have to recognize what's in the best interest of the person that you care about. And like I said, you have to be there in the way that the person wants you to be there. So, it was really hard for me when my grandmother on my mom's side passed away, because I was the one that brought her up here from Atlanta. Well, from Alabama, actually, is where she lived. But I always knew her from Atlanta, so I still slip and say that. But, it was hard for me because, honestly, I hadn't spent enough time with her. Okay? I hadn't spent enough time with the woman in the last years to, I spent time with her when I was a kid, and then I got to be an adult, and time got away from me, and, there's no excuse for it. It's just the way that life happened. But, so when I heard that she was not doing well, and, my mom actually got a call one night saying, hey, she might not make it through the night, I told my mom, all right, I'll go home and pack my stuff and I'll come and pick you up. It was an 11-hour drive to where she lived, but I didn't care. Okay? I just didn't care. That wasn't important to me. The distance wasn't important to me. What was important was getting there, because I had some making up to do. I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to let her think that I wouldn't be there, again. So for that trip, we got down there and she got a little bit better. She got checked out of the hospital, and then she was at home, and she was one of those people that didn't want to go to a nursing home. She didn't want to have somebody take care of her. And she was away from family. She was living on her own. And so I called work and I said, hey, I'm going to take off a week at least. And so I took off. I actually only ended up taking off a couple days. I came home. My mom stayed down there. And then my mom was going to stay down like a week and a half. I said, okay, that's fine. Why don't you fly up and I will drive down. I will just drive down, and that way I can stay down there. And I can, I'll take Beck with me, or I'll go by myself. I don't care. And that way I can go down there and I can decide when I want to come home, because work is now flexible with me. However long I need to stay down there, they're cool with. That was a big thing. So that's what I did. I went down there and I stayed down there until I decided that it was okay to come home. And that time was when I got her doctor to agree and to get it through her head that she could not live on her own, that was not a smart idea, and that she needed to come home. She needed to come home with me and be taken care of. That a, almost 90-year-old woman living by herself was a recipe for disaster. So I brought her home. That was a long trip. What was an 11-hour trip turned into like a 16-hour trip, but it was worth it, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. And then it was nursing home duty. My wife is one of the best people I have ever known, and she was cool with it. I've probably told this story a dozen times, but I'll tell it again. My my mom spent some time at the nursing home, but in my eyes, probably not enough. And so I was making up for it. I was there every night after work, and my wife was there during the day. And, you know, it was a time before grandkids, so it was a little bit easier. So it was her and I keeping my grandma company up until the night when she finally passed away. And, you know, I held her hand until they took her away, because I wasn't going to leave. I had left too much already. So, you know, I've lived through that. I've lived through my mother-in-law getting to the point where she needed to come and live with us, and then her passing away at our house. You know, I've lived through quite a few, you know, and so, you know, it's never easy. It is never easy watching somebody pass away, but it is something you need to do. I always tell people, you know what, if I ever put an animal to sleep or take them to be put to sleep, I never leave the room. I hold their paw or pat their head or whatever until they're gone. And then I take them home, you know, where it's possible. There was one dog where that wasn't possible, you know, and I give them the burial that they deserve. And I hope that I get the same in return someday from my loved ones. Hopefully I've instilled that in my family, you know, my boys and my daughter, that, you know, that's the thing that you need to do. So I think it's those of us with a healthy respect for death and appreciation for death with dignity, okay, that, you know, I think we get it. I think I'm not preaching to those people on what needs to be done with elderly that won't necessarily take your advice. All right? I don't think those guys, those folks, not guys, folks, are the ones that understand the problem. All right? So to everybody else, like I said, just be there for the people that you care about. Do what they will let you do. Treat them with respect and dignity. Give them the courtesy that they deserve, and let them live out the rest of their life, however long or short that may be, the way that they want to, the way that they have their entire lives. All right? I know we have this huge proclivity to treat adults, our parents, like children towards the end of their lives. That is a horrible thing that we all want to do. We want to baby them. We want to protect them. We want to, you know, watch over them. We want to micromanage them, you know, because we think it's our turn to take care of them. And to some degree it is, but not to the degree where we take away what made them who they are, their independence, their, you know, their individuality, and their maturity. So anyway, with that said, that's kind of the point I was wanting to cover tonight. Because like I said, I've got somebody who is, with all the goodness in their heart, they are edging on that point of, you know, over caring, overdoing, overreaching. And everyone needs to be conscious of how far they're going when they're caring or dealing with people, you know, that are in that vulnerable position. So now, on a lighter note, so we'll have a show here in a couple days. We'll have one on Monday, and it's important that everybody listen to it, as is all the shows. I think it's a good idea for you to tune in and let us know what you think of the show. I'm hoping I have some glitches figured out by then. I'm getting a new part for the broadcast rig, so hopefully Mike is a little smoother in his delivery. I am also going to be Sunday at the Lakeside Christian Church DJing. So if you're coming for Trunk or Treat, which will start sometime around 4:30 in the afternoon and end about 6:30, I think. So 4:30 to 6:30, you'll be able to see me. I'll be near the Red Shed. Feel free to come up, say hi, bring your kiddos in their costumes. There'll be tons of trunks. I have been building a cardboard castle for our car that I still have to paint the drawbridge on tonight. And get some candy in a safe environment, and there's food, there's hot dogs and chili and all that other kind of fun stuff for you and the kiddos to enjoy. That's all free of charge. Well, I think last year we had over 1,000 kids come through the line. We had a helicopter above us taking pictures. The parking lot was so full. So we're hoping that all happens again. Like I said, if you know me, come out, say hi. I'd appreciate it. I always like a happy face and a handshake. So with that said, this has been another edition of On the Road Again with Shaggy. Maybe a little bit more somber tone than most of them, but I thought it was important, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show and the audio's a little better. We'll be trying out more microphones as the day progresses and as Amazon delivers them, because yay Prime. So don't forget, you can always submit your topics to be discussed on the road again at ptrradio.com. That'll come straight to me, or reach us out to us on Twitter or Facebook or even Instagram at ptrradio. Just make sure to say, hey, on the road again, somewhere in your message, so that I know that it's for me and not for the regular Monday night show. So I'm just about ready to park, so this road trip's over. I will see you again next time I'm on the road.